Ben's return to Philadelphia with the Brooklyn Nets, and
He's playing a bit better than he has.
yeah, so the Nets came into town playing the 76ers without Embiid, without Harden, without Maxey, and they did lose the game. The Nets were fully healthy, but Ben Simmons was Ben Simmons, and he has been the last few games. He's been the Ben Simmons that has made multiple All-Star games, multiple All-Star teams, and things like that. And but my takeaway outside of just the Nets being the Nets and they need to break this shit up after a while. When it gets close to the trade deadline and they've been playing similarly, they're going to need to take a hammer to this team. But just speaking quickly on Ben here, this is the thing, right? So Ben Simmons, it's not this new version of Ben that we had been seeing. It was almost like sad to watch. But the Ben Simmons that you guys were loving, and that's the Ben Simmons that the 76er fans began to hate, right? So, and I'm going to explain, like the Ben Simmons that you and Juan and everybody was committed to and things like that. That is the Ben Simmons that we were like, this is not the guy, right? So he's rounding back into that form. This Ben Simmons that he just got out of, that was some other shit to see. That was sad. That's not the guy.
What we saw at the outset of this season was a broken guy that was on his way out of the league.
Yes.
What we've seen in the last couple games is something similar to what we had in Philadelphia, which is a talented but essentially fatally flawed player.
Yes, which to my point is still not good enough. And I'm watching I'm listening to the announcers, I'm watching social media, people are sending me stuff, and it's like, listen, man, yeah, the guy scored 11 points and had 6 rebounds and 11 assists, and those were 76ers numbers. But that's not going to win you anything with a guy in a salary cap sport, a guy that's a max player. That's just not. Yeah, those are backup center numbers. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's what he is. He's a reserve, and that's what he has been. Even with us, it took me a while. I was a huge Ben Simmons guy when he first came in the league, first got with us for the first 4 seasons. I was the biggest. I was the next Magic Johnson, the next LeBron James. And then I noticed we're 5 years in, and he's the exact same player that you were at LSU. Not a damn thing had changed. And here we are in this game where they lost to the 76ers, and first quarter he hit a couple free throws, and he's feeling himself. He's talking good. Hit 2 free throws in a row too in that first quarter, and he had 4 points and
quite the challenge for a professional player. He
had 4 points and 4 rebounds, and you would think he had 100 points. The announcers were like, "He's just so good. I'm telling you, he's just playing so great right now." It's like he has 4 points. But it comes to the fourth quarter now. He misses 2 free throws in a row in the late third quarter, which is awesome for the fans because you get free Chick-fil-A. Everybody, if a person misses 2 free throws in a row, everybody gets Chick-fil-A. He misses
a kid's meal or like a full
no
meal?
a full
really?
chicken sandwich, a full chicken sandwich.
All right. I like the strips, man.
He misses 2 free throws late in the third, and typical Ben is not going to change. He doesn't attempt a shot in the fourth quarter. He doesn't get a rebound in the fourth quarter. He doesn't get an assist in the fourth quarter. He barely touches the ball, and that's the Ben that we had for the last 5-6 years. That's the Ben that was in all these All-Star games. There's not anything different. That's him, and you cannot win with a guy like that on the floor. You just can't. And I guess people are now going to revert back and they're going to miss that point there or whatever. But you just can't, man. And it's nothing you can do about it. Because after the game, guess what people are doing? They're praising him. "Oh, Ben, you played great. You're back now." And this and that. No, he's the same fucking bad guy. You know what I mean? He's not. He's a good reserve NBA basketball player. That's what he is, and that's what he should be. But that's just the way of the NBA, man. You're 6'10" and you can run fast. you're probably going to make a lot of money. But you're not going to win games with him. You're just not. It's period, man.
Yeah, I mean, as a core player, you have to want the ball. You have to want to do something in big moments in games, and if you're backing out of it, that's just not the answer.
He's taller than anybody we had on the floor last night. Anybody.
Yeah.
He's taller than every center, every person. He has 3 inches on everybody. Now that's not taking any pressure off Kevin Durant, who is 1 inch taller than Ben, and he only had 6 rebounds last night. That's not taking any pressure off him. But he's putting up buckets at least. The least Ben can do is grab a couple rebounds.
I mean, and again, that's kind of goes to the point. You have to want to make an impact, and you know who you are.
Yeah.
KD is down the stretch of a game. He's trying to get to his spots and get shots.
Yeah.
Ben has to know he's not doing that. So how can I impact this thing?
Yeah.
Be an active rebounder, create a couple extra possessions. Maybe push some tempo in some situations, but want the ball and want to make plays.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something that
the team
is not the answer.
Now, moving slightly away from Ben and just to the Nets, totally, the team is just flawed. I mean, they have a lot of talent, but when you see them play, and I've watched maybe 3 full games of the Nets this year, the team is just flawed. You can't play Ben and Claxton at the same time. But you gonna have to. I mean, because who else are you gonna play type of deal.
Right.
But whenever Ben and Claxton are on the floor, it's just god awful space. And even though you have 3 shooters on the floor with them, is where do you put them at on the floor? Because neither one of them are a threat to shoot. Neither of them are going to shoot, and not even mid range, right? So it just shrinks the floor, and it's just bad. And then you have Kyrie, who is really not a point guard, right? So he can't initiate offense. Ben does a lot of that for you, and Ben did a lot of that between the first 3 quarters.
If I'm Ben, he's better in transition than the player that I'm mentioning, but in the half court, I would really take a closer look at Draymond Green. And how he uses, the screening, the dribble handoff actions, and he's not a shooter, and people don't respect him as a shooter, but he uses his body, uses his mind to influence and create shots for other people. And I think if I'm Ben or I'm somebody close to Ben, I'm saying this is a place you're going to have to go if you're not going to shoot. And there is ways to make that work, with talented offensive players, because obviously, Draymond's done that quite well. And that's I think he needs to look at it and be like, hey, let me get involved in some of these other type of actions as a screener, as a dribble handoff guy, where again, if they're going to play off me, that's going to create a pocket of space for the guy that I'm going to go dribble handoff or screen with.
Right.
And then, then off of that, when they get jumping that, I can, fake a handoff, slip a screen, and get a shot I can make around the basket. So, I mean, if long term, if he's serious about getting better or sticking in the league in any significant way, he's really got to be honest with himself and say, hey, I might not be a shooter. And I understand your point that you can work on it and improve, and I think that's a shortcoming for him not doing it. But even in the confines of his own mind, how can I maximize what I'm doing?
Yeah. And I mean, but and that's not new, right? We've known that notion for the last. I'm talking about the Draymond Green comparison. We've known that for a couple of years, but he's just not. He's just not going to do it.
Yeah,
it comes to a point. If you're an organization, you have to just. I don't know. I don't have any answers, right? So I guess I shouldn't even be approaching the subject of that, but because I don't have any answers. I don't know what the fuck you do with Ben, but stay the hell away if you're a team and he's on the trading block. That's the only thing I could recommend.
Well, yeah, and I think, so I think what you said earlier, though, I mean, the Nets are probably stuck with him. Because there's not. I mean, what team is going to jump to want to pay multiple years on a max deal for a player in his current condition?
Because remember, we just gave him the max. He hadn't played a year under the max contract with us.
Yeah, this is not. We're not talking about like an expiring max deal. No. And so I think Brooklyn's kind of stuck with him, and they've really got to just say, how can we make this work or maximize it? And I mean, I will say that Ben. going to where he is now, which is close to what he was in Philadelphia, is an upgrade from where he was in the first 8
Yes.
or 10 games.
Yes.
And so, there is some progress. If you're looking at this thing, if I'm the Nets, I'm like, okay, we're over a little bit of mental hurdle right now. How can we kind of get to a next level with this? And I think you really look close at the Draymond Green role and see offensively, particularly in the half court.
But those
can we make
guys,
something of that?
Kyrie is incapable of playing that way. KD can play that way, but Kyrie is an
Yeah.
ISO. He's just an ISO guy.
Yeah, I get that.
From day one to now, that's the only way he has ever played. That's the only way I think he can play.
Yeah.
And
But I'm not necessarily like jump him into like 100% pick and rolls, but
Okay.
make that a part of the game. And the other thing that Draymond does is he is a quick and clean swinger of the ball.
yeah.
And like focus on those sort of skills. Like again,
And I think Ben can do that. He has a good basketball IQ, especially with moving the ball.
well, the other thing is if they're not going to play close to you, you're always going to be a pressure release.
Yeah.
And in that, the other thing Draymond used to do when they used to do a lot of the short roll stuff out of the pick and roll is he'd short roll to the top and then play the quick 4-on-3 game.
Yeah.
And I think like Ben should those are some things he should focus on because he can get that even not out of a pick and roll. Just if somebody's below the foul line and Ben steps to the top of the key to catch a pass. Now you've got a guy in transition. He's probably not going to close out super hard, but you can quickly swing that and roll to a ball screen where there's going to be that pocket of your guy kind of schluffing about. There's just ways to maximize that if you put your mind to it. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be what you want of a max player. But damn it, you got to find something that's going to help.
You have to, and that's just offensively.
Yeah.
I have no idea what has happened to Ben on the defensive end. That part he has not reclaimed. He's okay in the passing lanes, but Ben used to be a guy, man, where we could stick him on somebody like Darrell Revis, like Deion Sanders, and say, okay, you got him, and we're just going to worry about everyone else, and we'll put you on their star player, and you're going to minimize their output. And now, I mean, he's allowing guys that should be in the G League. I mean, he was guarding guys last night that literally were in the G League a couple weeks ago, and they were just having their way. And it's been like that the entire season. Luka I understand it's Luka, but, I mean, Ben is supposed to be – when he was with us, he was the best perimeter defender in the league, period. There was no discussion. There was no – and Luka was calling for him. Like he was calling for the guy for Ben's screen and get Ben on him.
Yeah.
Time after time after time again. I don't care who that is. Nobody was doing that to Ben when he was right. And I don't know if he's never getting that back. His offensive game and stuff like that is back.
Yeah, I mean, it may be a physical issue. It's certainly going to be a confidence issue.
Yeah, I think it's confidence.
Yeah, I mean, elite defenders, you get locked in and you believe that you're going to stop somebody, and the possessions add up where you do it, and suddenly you're a stopper.
Yeah,
and I think he's been so mentally weak over the last 2.5 years of time that he's probably lost that killer sense of locking people down. I mean, a lot of it, I mean, you got to have physical tools, but a lot of it is just that mentality of like, I'm standing in front of you and I am a problem.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, I mean, I think like you go back to a guy like Tony Allen, I think that was like, it was his mentality. He was a good athlete, but this is a guy who tore an ACL early in his career.
Yeah.
And it didn't hold him back because he just had that mentality of, I'm in front of you.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do something. I don't care if you're KD. I don't care if you cross me or whatever. I'm here all fucking night. And you're going to have to come through me.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
Exactly.